Hello everyone, and welcome back to Kim's Cozy Corner. I am still trying to get my fall garden in place. In order to do that, I got a few more things I need to do around the garden. In order to continue prepping my garden for putting it to bed for the winter or getting it ready so that I can bring in more of those cool season crops, there's a few things that I need to do. I still have a few pots laying around the garden, I should say, that aren't going to produce anymore this year because it's too late for those summer crops. And I need to get those cleaned up and out of the way so I can make room for all of those fall season crops. So I am going to continue doing that work today. And I'm going to start right here with this Australian butter squash. I planted it very late and it got very cool and it just didn't take off. And so it doesn't make any sense in continuing trying to let it grow. So we're going to pull it out and clean it up. So just come with me as I continue doing some cleanup, making room for more cool season crops. Now, we went from heat waves to the temperature we should be having this time of year. And so those summer squash just, I guess these are winter squash. The winter squash that needs that summer heat, they were doing really well. And then we started getting down into the low 50s and they're just not happy and they kind of stopped growing. So we will take care of these. We'll get these out of the garden. Now, you could say, well, what do you do with those pots? Because I have pots and containers everywhere. So I don't get rid of anything. I take the soil from my pots and I top off my beds where they're needed. I'm doing the same thing over in my neighbor's garden. For those who are new to the channel, you may not know, but I manage my neighbor's garden as well. So in addition to my growing space, I have a whole nother garden next door to me that I manage as well. And that garden doesn't have the same well-draining top soil that I use, and which is a potting mix, by the way. And so I've been topping his beds off this year. So next year's garden for him will be amazing. And my beds, I topped them off pretty heavily, so they really don't need any more soil. And so now I'm going to take this soil and put it away in storage containers for next year. So we'll just start doing some of that and I'll bring you along for the ride as I continue breaking these down. Now, don't get me wrong, if there's something still producing, like I do have some white scallops that are still producing on this side of me. I do have one zucchini still producing over there, even though they're producing very slow, they're still producing. I am not pulling those out. We're going to let them keep trying to produce all the way up until they die back. But I do have some watermelon in here that never took off, so I'm getting rid of those as well. And by cleaning up this space, which by the way starts getting a lot of sun this time, or starts getting a lot of shade this time of year, by cleaning this up, I can move all of the sun-loving plants farther back into the garden where I'm going to get better sun between now and when I pull everything out, putting it to bed for the winter. So cleaning the space up, moving things over to where it makes the most sense to improve the overall sunlight for those containers. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull these peas down. Peas like hot weather. And I don't have a lot of hot weather left. So let's get this down here where it's going to get the most sunlight throughout the day. I'm not going to mess with the squash here because they're kind of trailing all over the ground. So we're going to leave them where they are. This is a cool season plant, so it can stay down close. And this is okra, which wants a lot of sun. So these are probably the best sun-loving areas that I have. And yes, I do have apple trees right here, but they're tiny. They don't get really tall. And the only sun that this might not get will be a little shade late in the evening, but I would have lost the shade anyway with the trees at my neighbors. So I think this is a better home for these. I have one pot that I'm going to bring into this space. Okay, I'm happy with this space. Let me go bring in the one other pot of peas that I have and add it to the bunch, as well as bring in some containers that I'm not using anymore. Okay, we are in my side garden area, and I turned the irrigation off of this area probably a couple of weeks ago. And so we have some containers over here that we are not using. We need to get the soil put up for these. All right, it's one load. We'll have to come back for the other load. All right, this is one of my really large trash cans that I preserve. I can't tell how many gallons it is, but it's a lot. The sign is gone off of it, but this is one of the trash cans that I put my excess soil in. So it's been sitting so long, it's so dry. There we go. And all of this soil will be amended before I use it again next year. Let's go get some more. All right. Yeah, I had some people telling me since I was buying my potting mix by the bag that it wasn't cost effective. And if you're buying one bag at a time, they are absolutely right. I was buying my potting mix by the bales where possible, half pallets where possible. But I believe this year I'm going to be in a much better place in how much I need to purchase, because I didn't grow my garden at all this year, other than just a teeny bit with some fire rings and I think a galvanized tub. But I did grow my garden with even more green stalks. So I have 11 green stalks throughout my garden, which takes quite a bit of potting mix if you have 11. So by making sure that I am maintaining this soil or potting mix for next year, just amending it just a little bit as I set those up again for next year, I think it's going to save me a ton of money. But if I'm going to add potting mix to something, I prefer to add that potting mix to my containers versus my raised beds. And so if my raised beds need soil, I'm going to start with last year's pots and I'm going to mend the soil that way. And if I need to purchase, I'm going to put the new soil in my containers. That's just how I do it. So that's a Kim philosophy, Kim's Cozy Corner philosophy. Others may think differently, and that's okay. I don't know, this is getting pretty full. Question is, do I have room for at least one more pot? So I have two more I want to empty in here, but let's see what we can do. I'm only getting this big root out because it's just so big. I mean, could it break down in here? It could, but it's taking up space and I need to get some more soil in here. So let's try to put some more soil in first. And I have a few more containers. So I have this little container here. This is a 20-gallon one. And I have another one just like it. So I have enough for 40 more gallons before I pull out another one of these great big trash cans. I think I better stop while I'm ahead here. All right, this one's done. And this will be its home for the winter. Now let's work on the next one. Here's another summer squash that's done for the season. All right, let me go get my other container. Okay. That's all of the pots that I have right now that need to be emptied, but I have a couple more, at least one more pot that I need to move over to the sunniest spot so I can water all in one place and all the pots are getting sun. So let's do that next. So this is my last container of peas. I don't remember if they're purple hull peas or if they're cream zipper peas, but that's my last container. I wanted to get it over on this side. So everything's being watered in one area. So all of my containers now are here and they're in one place, except for my GreenStalks. GreenStalks, of course, I got them throughout the garden, and that'll be another video as I start working on them. But for today, I wanted to get this little area cleaned up, get the pots in where they're gonna get the most sun, and save all of my potting mix. My nice fluffy potting mix. We can't let it go to waste. So getting those into containers was a key piece. Organizing this space, getting out what's not producing, and spacing out the plants so they can get the most sun as it's cooling off is an important piece of moving into a fall garden, as well as winterizing and making sure you're setting yourself up for next year. So you do both at the same time because you have time to do this because the summer garden is starting to slow down. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me with more garden cleanup as I'm prepping for that fall garden. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and you'll get to see how I organize my garden from the beginning to the end. This is what I do. Thanks again for stopping by and joining me for the video. And until next time, and I hope to see you back here again real soon. Bye.